I had one of my guys grab him one time. We lifted the hood of the car. We put his face near the fan blade, closed the hood on his head. Then I'd have the guy go in there and step on the gas. You know. The fan would just, nick his chin. It was like giving him a close shave. He paid. He paid real quick. I don't want to sound like a tough guy because I'm really not a tough guy. I just never let fear permeate my being. I have no control over what's going to happen, when I'm going to get killed, when I'm going to die. I just have no control. So I just say don't worry about it.
Have you ever felt loyalty to anybody?
Me.
But Previty was well compensated, cutting one of the best deals in the history of the FBI. $9,000 a month, a car, insurance, and various expenses. It quickly added up.
We paid Mr. Previty $750,000 beginning in 1992 and ending in 2002.
You had no case against Previty?
Correct.
He was doing this of his own volition?
That's correct.
For money?
For money.
In addition, the FBI gave Previty seed money for drug deals, bookmaking, and loan sharking operations, with the understanding that any proceeds would be returned to the FBI.
His history is that he's stolen from everybody he's ever worked for. Did he steal from you?
No, not as far as I'm aware of. I mean, we calculated what we thought the value of his information and services were to the FBI, and we paid him for it.
The FBI says it was worth it. With Previty's help, the government managed to convict more than 50 made members of the Philadelphia mob and their associates, including 3 mob bosses and the mayor of Camden, New Jersey.
I think I was underpaid. I should have made more money. I took a chance every day. It was like jumping out of airplanes every day. When I hear people say how much money I made, well, you go do it. You go do it. Strap that thing on and, go in a viper's pit every day.
It's the life and not the people in the life.
Because of his cooperation, Michael was soon out on parole, but he violated his prison parole terms and was back in jail for 4 more years.
Just when I was leaving prison, a few months prior to that, I got a visit from the FBI. And long story short, they wanted me to get involved in this anti-gambling program that the leagues were putting on, Major League Baseball and the NBA. And I started to speak to athletes throughout the country.
In a dramatic change of events, Michael turned his life to God and now openly discusses his former life of crime and travels, frequently sharing stories about his past illegal gambling activities in the mob.
And I tell them, I want just one of those 24 guys that were gambling money on a game in which they played.
Hired by the NCAA in 1995 as a speaker to warn students and professional athletes against the dangers of gambling, Michael has been very well received all over the country.
Teenagers have a problem gambling rate of 10 to 17%.
Today, nearly 20 years after he was first fined $10 million and sentenced to prison, Michael Francis still owes the government a large sum of money.
I still owe. I pay him monthly, but it is what it is, and until or unless they find that money, then the money doesn't exist.
His brother's murder almost 20 years ago has remained an obsession. We learned that on visits to Philadelphia, Veazey has made threats against those he thinks were responsible. Kathy Ciancaglini says she's been a target for years.
It's frightening, it's aggravating, it's intimidating.
Why would John Veazey threaten you?
He believes that my husband has killed his brother.
Her husband, John Ciancaglini, and others were tried in 2001 for the murder of Billy Veazey and found not guilty. But John Veazey maintains Ciancaglini did murder Billy as payback for his first hit when he killed Ciancaglini's brother, Michael. Kathy says Veazey has posted menacing pictures on Facebook and left her voicemails that she saved, like this one from 2011.
I don't give a if I get caught. I will get you, John. How's your wife feel about that? Maybe I'll hit her in the too. You punk.
He's the punk. He threatens me. Calls my husband a punk. He's the punk. He threatens women. That's what he does.
John Veazey lives under an alias, and few in his new community are aware of his past. But over the last 5 years, his name has appeared in at least 4 police reports. In 2008, an argument in a restaurant led to a fight.
I waited for him to take his drink, and I sized him up and I hit him with a straight, good punch, and the last one through his face.
Veazey was arrested and pleaded guilty to misdemeanor battery. His victim required 25 stitches and plastic surgery.
Only reason it's big for me because I'm a killer. You think about it, how many of your friends had a barroom fight growing up?
I gotta say, in talking to you, sometimes I wonder if you're still just a tough guy or if you're still part of you a bad guy.
That's something you'll have to wonder, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I would say that if that's open for debate.
Former gangster gave his first TV interview to our Bob Ward, and as Bob explains, the former mobster might have given the feds a big-time clue.
Hello, I'm Pastor Alonzo Esposito. I'm so happy you joined us today.
This is Alonzo Esposito, a Memphis, Tennessee pastor who now posts his Christian teachings online and in a new book. But before he was Pastor Esposito, before he went into witness protection, he was Bobby Luisi Jr., a made member of the mob.
My main business up there was loan sharking, bookmaking, extortion, and drugs.
Esposito tells us he didn't take part in the historic Gardner heist, but in 1997 he found out his crew member Bobby Guarente did. Guarente was a frequent visitor to this Dorchester garage where the paintings were discussed. In 1997, Esposito tells us, Guarente started talking about the Gardner heist while they were watching TV in a Waltham safe house.
I was sitting in the living room with Bobby Guarente, and he says, I know where the yacht is. It's buried in a cellar in Florida. He said, do you have anybody that can fence it? Can we get rid of it? I said, I don't know, where to get rid of the yacht. I'm not a fence.
Esposito tells us he didn't ask any more questions about the paintings. He didn't need the money.
I was making millions of dollars with the drugs. All these other things didn't really matter to me.
Bobby Guarente died in prison. Esposito tells us he never found out where in Florida that artwork may have been stored. But he thinks there are still old-time mobsters in Boston who could know, and he has this message.
They could get in touch with me. I'm a pastor. I could help them. I can middleman for them if that's what they want.
Well, Esposito told the Boston Globe that because he has turned his life around, he's not afraid about going public and now talking about his past. Now, the Gardner artwork, it's still missing, and there's a $5 million reward for its return. I'm Bob Ward, Fox 25 News.
He says he knows exactly what to do, and he told me he is more than willing to do it himself. We sat down with him for our exclusive Fox News interview.
Any man that didn't want to be a boss of a family had no manhood in him.
He was the first American mafia boss to flip and testify for the government. Now former mobster Ralph Natale has written the story of his life and life in the mob, called Last Don Standing, The Secret Life of Mob Boss Ralph Natale.
I never heard a man that was innocent, a hard worker. I never touched a woman, never touched them, another child, they never.
Natale became head of the Philadelphia Mafia in the late 1990s, brought in by the legendary mob boss Angelo Bruno, who ended up getting shotgunned to death in his car in 1980. Natale has been luckier. He survived and thrived in the city of brotherly love before the feds finally caught up with him in 2005. He was sentenced to 13 years in prison on racketeering, drug, and bribery charges. But today, he worries about another threat, terrorism, and fears the nation has not done enough to defeat it. Do you think we've been too easy?
Oh, we're pussycats.
On terrorism?
On terrorists. On terrorists.
Pussycats.
Pussycats.
What should we do?
Kill them.
Natale was astounded that the Manchester bomber Salam Abedi was known to authorities and says just like in the mob, he would take care of the problem himself.
I wish I could get 4 more in me. The government would have to pay, but they would be glad to. As soon as they would point out a crew that this is where they're meeting, they're going to go kill people, their own kind, white, black, they'll kill anybody. Give me their names, I'll take care of business.
You would?
I would kill them all. Yes, I would get
kill,
them. Yes, I will.
You would kill the terrorists?
I would kill them immediately, and then I would hang them in front of their houses, and then call the newspaper, the Inquirer. Yeah, listen, come and see what happened to those people. That's how you stop. You can't stop them. That's what I would do. I said, boy, I could make a nice living, and I could enjoy it. I would be able to do it. My wife, that's great. It's not crazy.
His offer is one the government would likely refuse, but Natali worries that terrorism will remain with us.
I have 10 grandchildren, and I have 11 great-grandchildren. So long after I'm in the dirt, they gotta have to put up with this here. It's gotta be done. It's gotta be done now. There's an old Italian saying, if you don't listen to the first note, you'll never hear the rest of the song. That's what's happening today. They call me a killer, cold-hearted. I never hurt anybody that didn't deserve dying. I never did. And when it comes my time, I just want to get off a shot if I got something with me.
That's all I keep thinking about. And this is hypothetical and this is not glorifying anything, but like I always in my mind, I have no intention of doing any of this stuff, but if I had to run from the law, I already know where I'd hide. If I had to bury a body, I've already figured out where I'd go. What's the best place to bury? Like when you were doing it, what's the best place to do it?
What's that?
When you're burying a body, when you're getting rid of it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else. I would say the best place to go
now
is one of those Latin American countries. Women are beautiful.
No, like if I have to get rid of somebody now, what's the best place to do it?
See, I'm advocating the other way.
No. I have one guy that I might have to get rid of.
All right.
Maybe we'll talk about it.
Is it Duke?
No. I know. You know what's going to happen.
If it's Duke, I might come out of retirement.
I'm going to see Duke tomorrow. I know that now. It's so funny. All right, John Ali, thank you very much.
Thank
a pleasure
you
meeting you. Very interesting story. We will take a break. It is the Mike Calta Show.
The Mike Calta Show on 102.5 The Bone.
Awesome. That is. You gotta take a picture for me. Okay. John, if you want to give us contact information, I will send you an MP3 of the whole interview. Anything you need, pleasure, man. Thank you very much.
We had a broken down tractor trailer that was blocking the right-hand lane. That's got traffic now backed up all the way to Bruce.
Yeah.
Can
you send me that? Yep.
I'll give you my number.
Okay. Yeah, let's stay in touch. I had to tell you, this is extremely interesting.
I got a lot of stuff going on. I'm doing Europe stuff. I did the London Times. I'm doing the Holland paper. I'm doing an international book probably after this with a guy from Brazil that was with me, Klaus. That's very famous.
Oh, really? And the more you keep talking about this, God, he's just got to flush him out.
Well, I want him to come out and explain it real time. I want him to say, well, you changed. Why? There is no bullshit on the radio. Why did you apologize to Curtis? When I went to see Curtis, he wouldn't shake my hand. I seen Geraldo, and then he finally shook it, and I was like, I told Marty Berman, I don't know if you guys know. I said, Marty, tell him it wasn't for me. I said, well, he doesn't know what's going on either, but here's the thing. If John came out and said, listen, I'm sorry, I don't know what I was thinking. I was an asshole. I've been saying the same thing. He should be out telling everybody I was a jerk off my fault, because he blamed his fault. He pushed his fault. And he wasn't doing it. $500 of Mike's money. So, I was not invested in stuff.